name is Ola Gatland. I'm a musician and songwriter.
My name is Sakina and I've been producing.
My name is Violet Skies and I'm one of the co-founders of sheWrites, and today we've been at the Ableton HQ in London making music. The only thing that was different is that the entire session is girls. I set up sheWrites with Charlie McLean because we'd produced an EP together and she produced for me, and it was just an amazing experience and I just wanted to share it with other women. So Charlie said we should do a camp, and we did. This one is our first global camp. So today's session has actually been a part of 4 other camps that are going on. So there's one happening in Tokyo, one in Stockholm, one in Berlin, and then us in London. The reason that we did it is, one, because we wanted to share the experience, but also because we'd never been in all-female sessions.
I've been in London doing sessions for a couple of years now, and whether it's the producer, the engineer, another writer, there tends to be at least one dude in the room. I think what's different about the energy is that it actually doesn't feel like novelty. It feels very normal and very natural. You can show up to a session looking like this. You can wear a tracksuit. You can make music and suggest ideas in an environment free of judgment, and no one's working twice as hard to prove themselves.
Sometimes when you're in a session with a guy in the seat as a producer, you don't feel like you're getting your ideas across, or not being heard. It's like, you don't feel like, you're invisible or something,
I feel much more comfortable as a songwriter in sharing my ideas, in actually playing instruments, because although I do play, I'm often nervous about playing it in front of guys, and I can't quite explain why, other than sometimes people have either moved me off the instrument and said, oh, I can play that, whereas no other girl would do that. They kind of encourage you and say, oh, try again, or here's how to do it, and it feels like a really nurturing environment.
I think with girls, because I've only ever been really in that seat of production, I can say it's been easy because women are it's like kin, innit? I just know how to talk to women, so.
It's kind of a cycle, so the more young females who are considering going to something like engineering or producing, playing an instrument or becoming an artist or a top liner, a songwriter, if they see women in studio settings, it just won't be so unusual all of a sudden.
I've been producing for about 12 years, I think now, 12 years. I've known girls that produce since the beginning, really. A lot of my close friends who are girls produce, so it's not been alien to me at all.
Aside from Charlie, I didn't know any other female producers, and actually to scout for the camp, I had to do a lot of Googling, a lot of asking around. It just wasn't obvious.
A lot of the time, women, when they're in the spotlight, it's more of a artisty thing where they're there's a certain stereotype, basically.
I know I would have benefited when I was much younger from seeing more pictures of women behind studio desks. So I think even if it feels not a little forced, but if it feels a little set up to begin with, it won't always be like that. I think it will be kind of a domino effect.
16% of PRS members are women, and 6% of MPG members are women. No woman has ever won a Grammy for contemporary production, ever in the history of the Grammys. We just got tired of change not happening, because lots of people have talked about it, and that's really important to start the conversation, but you can't change the numbers if you're not actually writing songs.
I think it's already happening. I've seen there's Wonder Girl who's produced for Jay-Z, etc. It's kind of happening already, and I've always been around girls anyway that do it as well, so I've just been in that sort of bubble of oh, it's normal. So until people come to me with the issue of oh, how do you feel of being a woman in this thing? It's I've never thought about it before, but I don't know, it's just roll with the punches as we always do with women, innit?
I think it's just important to normalise it, actually, if we just let sessions be organised the way they are and let music continue on as it is, then there just won't be any females in it.
I think, hopefully, that we're moving towards the new normal, where if you see a girl engineering, it's not a novelty. If you see a girl producing, it's not a novelty. If 3 girls have written the latest #1, it's not a novelty. And I think that's what we're moving towards, where people don't see it as something unusual. And hopefully camps like sheWrites won't be needed actually in the future, as much as I don't want them to be extinct, because I enjoy doing them. It'll be nice to think in 4 or 5 years' time that the camps will just be 50-50, because that's the number of writers on the ground, the number of producers on the ground, and we won't have to put these initiatives forward. It will just happen, and that's what we hope the future looks like. And it's just exciting to know that we're kind of part of the change, and I just like working with girls, to be honest. It's fun. And that's literally it.